WWE obviously merging with the UFC is going to lead to tons of big changes. And one of them that is very interesting to me is Dillion Danis. Now, if you don't know who he is, I don't necessarily blame you, but Dillion Danis used to fight in Bellator, and technically, I think he's still signed there. However, the interesting thing is Dillion Danis is not active. He was supposed to fight KSI in a boxing fight, and then that whole thing got scrapped. Now, Ringside News is actually reporting that WWE and Dillion Danis have interest in joining together and coming together for him to be a WWE superstar. Now, multiple sources did also confirm this news. Also, many media outlets in MMA have also confirmed this news. So, with that being said, I just want to point out I do not really like the idea of Dillion Danis being in the WWE. For those who don't watch MMA, he's basically Conor McGregor's boy, like they're best friends. And that's really the only reason why, and I think he's a great wrestler in Bellator, when he's doing MMA. But a lot of people feel like the only reason why he's even relevant is because of Conor McGregor. And it appears that WWE having mutual interest would make sense. If you guys don't know, they did sign Valerie Lareda from Bellator. She is in NXT as Lola Vice. But I'm not the only person who doesn't think WWE should sign him, because Becky Lynch, in a new interview with Stephen A. Smith, was talking about celebrities in WWE. And she says that it actually could be a little bit of a problem. She says, personally, from a work ethic standpoint, you put all this effort into this all year round. And then when the big shows come, when the big stadiums come and there's 80,000 people, you want to receive your flowers for that hard work you've been putting in all year round so that we can do this. So when obviously it comes to using celebrities, she says it is fantastic, but it cannot be what this business is. She says we need those people that are wrestling 3-4 times a week that can carry this, that are thinking about this constantly. That is their sole focus. We need that because, yes, the Pat McAfees of the world or the Logan Pauls can have 3 matches a year or 1 match, and we could put a spotlight on them and give them their kudos and their flowers and say, well done. But this business is hard. This business is so hard, and it's tough, and it's a skill, and it's craft. And without all those people that know how to do it in the way that we do, then it will die. And I do agree to this. I definitely agree to what she is saying. But also, guys like Logan Paul and Pat McAfee, they put in the work outside of WWE, come into WWE, and it helps the WWE. Those people are notable names in their respective fields. Pat McAfee is a very notable name outside of WWE. So is Logan Paul. Even KSI, to be honest. When you look at somebody like Dillion Danis, though, that's where I start scratching my head. And it's nothing against him on a personal level. I just don't think there would be a big reason to bring Dillion Danis in. Now, ultimately, I'm looking at it from the perspective of, does WWE want to bring him in as a potential big deal? Or do they want to bring him in kind of like Valerie Lareda, who's in NXT, known as Lola Vice? If that's the case, you want to put him in NXT, develop him, see if you could come up with a character and stuff like that. Okay, that's fine. But if you think Dillion Danis should come into WWE as a part-time role, I do not think that's a good idea. And obviously, Becky Lynch does make a good point. You have these people coming in once or twice, maybe 3 times a year, and they're great matches, and it's great, and it brings attention. But really, WWE's focal point should always be creating stars and creating good shows, not just once, twice, or 3 times a year. So you're not going to be able to do that with a guy like Logan Paul or Pat McAfee showing up every once in a while. Now, to Logan Paul's credit, he is involved in storylines. When he is on the show, he is on TV. But that's why I think there is a major difference in comparison between Logan Paul and Dillion Danis. I also do want to point out I've always been supportive of celebrities in WWE and AEW. In wrestling in general, I think it's a good thing. But when you're looking specifically at Dillion Danis, how much of his notability comes from his own skills? A lot of people often say that Dillion Danis is just Conor McGregor's best friend. And I don't know if that's something I would want, to be attached to me before getting a push in WWE. Guys, I want to talk to you a little bit about Bray Wyatt in WWE. There is a huge update. Multiple sources have confirmed that Bray Wyatt is not returning to WWE, and that is because he is not currently cleared to compete. Now, this is very interesting considering that we still don't know all the details surrounding Bray Wyatt's whole situation. But we know Bray Wyatt had 0 mention on SmackDown or on Raw. WWE has not signified to anybody on a public level that Bray Wyatt will be back anytime soon. But they're also keeping very quiet in regards to what's going on here. So, a lot of people are curious. Is this because of Bray actually being sick or actually being hurt? Or is this an issue with maybe Vince and Triple H not wanting him? And I just have a very strong feeling that wouldn't be the case. I don't know. I could always be wrong, obviously. But from the outside looking in, I just look at Bray Wyatt and I think he's such a great talent. But we need to see the more human version of Bray Wyatt on television. And quite honestly, I don't feel like that this Uncle Howdy stuff is fun, but when you go a little bit further into the supernatural stuff, I don't know if it makes sense. But keep in mind, Bray Wyatt is a big, big merchandise seller. So if you're the WWE, you're definitely going to want to try and push Bray Wyatt, right? He makes money. You got this new deal with Endeavor and UFC. You definitely want Bray Wyatt to be involved. But also, the fact that everything's kind of being kept quiet tells me maybe we shouldn't worry. But at the same time, too, it's understandable why people are worried. Is he going to be let go? Is he not happy there? What is going on? There's obviously a lot of stories of things that are happening in pro wrestling, and more specifically WWE, in which maybe WWE at this current time don't want him. And I just don't like that idea. I hate that idea. I hate the idea of even thinking that Vince or Bray are maybe on bad terms or something. But again, there's a lot of speculation. But as of right now, sources are confirming that Bray Wyatt is in fact just not cleared to wrestle. And that's a very interesting point. And the reason why I bring this up is because WWE has a major change that is happening. And it has a lot to do with backstage reporting. Backstage hiring. And this is a very interesting thing that came from Fightful. So sources spoke to Fightful and had speculated that Vince McMahon's return and talks about the impending sale were just a few reasons behind the so-called freeze. So essentially, there was this report that went through publicly that WWE was putting a freeze on hiring talent, which would explain why WWE did not bring in Jay White. Now, the thing is, the part of the report was that WWE's sale was made official on April 3rd. The promotion was purchased, obviously, by Endeavor. But since the sale, we see that Vince McMahon is back. And now it seems like he's actually heavily involved. So Fightful was actually told that Triple H wanted to have Nick Aldis join the company, but like other potential hires before him, including names like Tama Tonga, Brian Cage, a lot of them have been left out in the cold right when Vince McMahon returned. So this is not like an official thing from WWE, but guys like Tama Tonga and Brian Cage were expected to be offered deals to join the WWE, and now they're not doing it. Now, another thing, too, was the firing of James Kimball was another reason why several on WWE's radar had no contact after the company had shown interest. So James Kimball was actually this SVP of Talent Operations and Strategy, and he had left the company in February due to a HR violation. So that is why WWE has also not brought in a lot of people. So we look at guys like Miro and Andrade and Malachi Black and so many AEW talent that even if WWE or even if their contracts were up, or, you know, you look at Brian Cage, for example, or some of these other names, even if they want to come to WWE or whatever it may be, as of right now, WWE is just not hiring people. So even when you look back earlier in the story about Dillion Danis, that would make a lot of sense too. So a lot of crazy things happening, WWE shaking things up, but this can't necessarily always be a bad thing either. Let me just point that out. WWE has a lot of talent they got to use. So if you're not hiring talent, I'm okay with that. If you're not hiring talent for right now, I'm okay with that, but you got to utilize the talent that you have. Let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you for watching.